Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video on the Switch. Today we are playing Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. I'm on the demo because I don't want to splash out 50 quid just for this. It is a good game though. Yeah, it's my first video in ages, so I'm excited to get into it. So yeah, here we go. I've already played through the demo on my normal account, so I've got a different account here. So I've just got to play through the first few bits before I can start making Miis, because I don't want to delete the Miis on my regular account. So that's just what I'm doing now. So now it's the time that we find out what the first character I'm going to be doing is. And yes, it is the character on the thumbnail. I am going to be starting off by doing Sonic the Hedgehog, from obviously the Sonic games and now Sonic movies. But yeah, I think this one could be fairly hard, but I don't know, I feel like I can do it pretty well. I've done it before, so here we go. I started out by picking out the hair, which I feel like is probably the best or most iconic bit of Sonic's look, his big spiky hair. It took a little while to decide which one to go for, but ultimately it was a no-brainer, and then I obviously had to change the colour to match his blue character. I also added a sub-colour, which is quite cool. It creates a little gradient. It's not crazily noticeable, but I think it looks cool on this one. I then positioned the eyebrows, which are weirdly important, and obviously I had to make them blue before I then started to move on to the eyes. These are quite hard because he's got quite cartoony eyes and they're quite big and tall, and there weren't really any for those, so you've got to stretch out ones like these. I then added these cartoony lines underneath, which I think helps quite a bit to make him look a little bit younger perhaps. They also look a little bit like whiskers, which I know he doesn't have, but it adds that sort of cartoony cat element to it. I also went through all of these other things and decided to change the insides of the eyes because I think it looks really cool. I then knew it was time to go for the nose, which was a little bit hard because he has a little button nose that sticks out a bit, and none of these really represented that except for this no-brainer. The problem is the nose is the same colour as the skin colour for obvious reasons, but that then meant I couldn't quite get Sonic's iconic black nose. I don't know if it's iconic, but I've said it now, so here we go. I then got to something that I honestly can't believe I hadn't already done, and that's changing the skin colour to make sure that he is blue. Obviously his skin isn't blue, it's his fur, but it's much easier to make his skin blue and then add what is actually his skin over the top. And the best way to add on the skin like I was talking about is by using beards. Now I'm aware this doesn't look great at the minute, but when you switch on to a different type of beard, for example this one, you can see what I'm going for here. It's still not perfect, but it certainly looks better, and combining it with this mustache really made it look just how I wanted it to. Now it's not the perfect Sonic, but it's definitely alright. And after fiddling around a bit with the mustaches, this here is the final result. So yeah, there we go. This is Sonic the Hedgehog. It's certainly not perfect, but it's okay. It's one of my better attempts you'll see in this video. It all goes downhill. The next one's not bad, but the final one is awful. But here we go, that is my Sonic. And now for the next character that I'm going to be doing. It is another iconic video game character, and that is Yoshi. I recently saw the new Mario Galaxy movie and I thought Yoshi was really cool in that. And I always used to use him on Mario Kart 7 back on the DS, so Yoshi is one of my favourite characters. I just got to try my best to do him justice. So here we go. first thing I got up to was picking the head shape and of course making his head green, as he obviously is green. It was then quite tricky to do the rest of the features, especially the hair, but I tried to mimic the spikes he has on the back of his head. None of them really came close to it, so this is the best I could get, and it only really looks okay from the front view. This isn't the final hair I decided on, I went for a different one, but I also again decided to use the subcolor and realised that they're not all gradients. As you can see, some of them just have sections of the subcolor, but I do think this idea is quite cool, as I don't know, I think it adds a three-dimensionality to the characters. But here, he looks a bit like a garden plant, but this tuft of hair I think is the most representative of his spikes. It was now time to figure out what to do with the eyebrows. I used a technique that I'll use on the next one, where I use the eyebrows in order to sort of show his raised eyes, if that makes sense. He's got quite rigid bones where the eyebrows are because his eyes stick out, so I tried to use these eyebrows to frame the eyes in that way. It was also somewhat difficult to pick the right eyes because his eyes are very big and very tall, whereas not all of these represented it. I thought these were going to be good, but you couldn't add the shines on the eyes, so I had to go for an alternative, which I don't think would have been as good as these, but here we are. I then had to give him the cute shines on the eyes, because I think that just represents the character perfectly. I also then used these under eye wrinkles to again frame the eyes, as like I say they're raised from the head a bit, so yeah, I use this to continue the outline and the framing. Next is of course definitely Yoshi's biggest feature, and that is his massive nose. Unfortunately I couldn't get it any bigger than this, so I had to make do. I tried out other noses which might have been a bit more obscure, but no, none of these worked. I also then decided to use glasses to create his white puffy cheeks, and I feel like this makes up for where the size of the nose lacks, as it just gives it that perfect look. I then got onto the beard. This meant I could colour in the chin, which obviously he's got this white bit at the bottom around his mouth, so the sunglasses did the cheeks and the beard did the chin, and yeah, that's the look for Yoshi in terms of the white mouth. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments. So after adding some final touches, this is the finished Yoshi. Now there are definitely better Yoshis out there, I'm sure you can search them up. This isn't my best effort, but I do think it's alright. So, on to the next one. Okay, so now on to the third and final Mii of this video, and we are going to be doing Stitch, that being Lilo and Stitch, whatever you want to say it, the Disney character. Yeah, I do like Stitch, and coming into this I thought it was going to be an easy one to do, but I tell you now, I may have fumbled. So, let's get into it. I obviously started off by picking out the head shape. This was a fairly simple one to do, but I can always change it later. And then going into the hair. Now Stitch does have a couple tufts of hair, but there was nothing really that could represent this in the way I wanted it to. I'm sure people online have got better ways of doing this. I started out with this little swoosh of hair, but very quickly decided it wasn't for it, after I changed the skin colour and then the hair colour, and just instantly knew that that wasn't right. I then had the idea to use the eyebrows to frame the eyes, similar to Yoshi, because while Stitch's eyes aren't quite raised, they're quite exaggerated, and they have certainly some sort of frame around them. If not, I don't know what I was doing, but they've got the light blue patch around them, so I guess I was trying to recreate this, or at least frame that using these eyebrows. I'm sure there was a better way of doing this, but this is my way and this is what I went for. And then onto the eyes themselves. This was fairly difficult, and I think this is where I sort of ruined it. But I went for the same eyes as Yoshi, as they've got similar massive eyes as each other. Now the eyebrows don't look great at the minute using this, but here we go. Now Stitch has also got a similar nose to Sonic in many ways. It's just a bit bigger. Well, it's just like a dog, isn't it? I also added these blushes because it adds to the overall cuteness of Stitch. I'm aware that the head's a bit too thin and tall at this moment, but that will get fixed. And besides, the rest of the Mii isn't great anyway. There are more things to focus on than that. I then had this weird idea to recreate Stitch's massive ears by using these glasses. Now, this was definitely a regret. It didn't really work in the slightest. I kept it for a little bit before coming up with what I thought was possibly a better way of doing it. But I don't know. You'll have to let me know in the comments whether it was the right decision to ditch these glasses or not. After some minor adjustments, I changed the nails, which in hindsight I should have done with Sonic, and added a better mouth. I also then added a beard to keep this light blue patch that Stitch has. I don't know how effective it was. I don't know how much this looks like Stitch at all. It's honestly a disgrace. But it looks more like Stitch thanks to it, I'd say. It was also at this point that I realised that a better way to do the ears is to use the actual inbuilt ears. Now I'm aware that it still doesn't look great, but I think it looks better than the sunglasses, which just look like sunglasses on the forehead, which is what they are. So yeah, these ears definitely look better, but it does also sort of leave the whole head a bit, I don't know, it makes it look naked, and if you're gonna see anything naked, I wouldn't want to see this Mii. So here we go. So yeah, after making some minor adjustments, here is the final Stitch. I am completely ashamed of this, looks nothing like Stitch. I'm gonna have a look online and I'm gonna see how much better other people have done Stitch, but it's no use comparing. I know mine's bad anyway. But yeah, that's Stitch. I hope I've offended nobody. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching this video. If you want any more like this, please let me know. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.